It is past 5:30 and it is time for me to call the regular meeting of Greenwood County Council for Tuesday, September the 17th to order. In accordance with the Freedom of Information Act, the date, the time, the location, and the agenda of this meeting has been posted on the front entrance of the Greenwood County Courthouse and also on the front entrance to the Greenwood County Library. Copy of that agenda has been made available to the media and also been posted on the county's website. I'm going to ask us to stand, and Vice Chairman Chuck Moats is going to give our invocation, which will be followed by our Pledge of Allegiance.
Pray with me, please. Eternal God, Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer, the only true source of wisdom, love, and peace. This afternoon, Lord, we ask for your favor and protection to be upon our community, and for your presence to be with us during this meeting. Remind us, O God, that as elected officials, we are not only leaders, but also servants to those who have given us this awesome responsibility and privilege. May our decisions and deliberations always be fair, open, and straightforward. And may we always be guided by the pledge and promise to do and to act for the well-being and cohesiveness of our community. And prevent us, Lord, from taking positions or attitudes that divide. Help us to always be working for the unity and favor of all of our citizens, so that they may live lives that are in favor of you and filled with well-being. We give thanks for the many men and women who work and serve our community and county in so many and varied capacities. May your goodness and presence be with them and their families as they faithfully fulfill their responsibilities for all of us. This we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let me say to each of you in attendance tonight that we appreciate you being here, you taking your time to come and be with us in our meeting. And please know that you are welcome to come to our meetings and provide your input to us at any time. Council, you have a copy of the minutes for the September the 3rd regular meeting. If there's not any changes to those minutes, then I would entertain a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Ms. Childs, a second by Mr. Moats. All in favor? And they stand approved. First item of business tonight is to have a quarterly capital sales tax update. Josh Skinner. By the way, just let me say, no, go ahead and do that. I'll talk about that as you get through.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair and Council. To date, we have collected $17,847,000 from the capital project sales tax. And we have spent, once we make our first fire truck payment next week, we'll have spent $6,743,000. But I believe Toby's going to speak a little bit more about the figures and such after I give an update on the projects.
Speak up a little bit where everybody can hear you.
Just a reminder that all the projects are prioritized. They were given a specific amount that can be collected through the capital project sales tax, and they can get no more than that amount collected. So I'll go through, start with number one, which is the Upstate Center, Upstate Manufacturing Center at Piedmont Technical College. It was given $6,099,000 in the capital project sales tax. All that has been collected. None has been spent yet. Right now, they are placing beams and girders on the roof and installing subgrade plumbing, and electrical, and they will be laying the concrete pads next. They're also doing a little bit of masonry walls starting on the back side. They're still estimating completion date sometime next summer. Item number 2 on the list is the Parks and Trails projects. A total of $5.5 million was given to this project. We split it up in phases. Phase 1 will have $2,053,000. All that has been collected. Davidson Floyd was given the contract to oversee this project. They have completed surveys on most of the parks. Those surveys have been given to Wood Partners in Hilton Head. They are working on preliminary plans. Wood Partners is going to visit Greenwood on October 2nd and 3rd, and they will meet with stakeholders from the parks, put together these preliminary plans, and come back in a few months with public meetings for each park and get public input and make a final plan after that. Just a reminder of the parks, we are working on the Hodges Park is across the street from Hodges Elementary, Wisteria Park in Troy, the Gray Street Park in the middle of Greenwood, Magnolia Park, the 96 Town Park, and Foundry Road in South Greenwood. Item number 3 on the sales tax list is the countywide public safety radio system. That money at $4.1 million has been collected and paid out. The county has 654 new radios, so all the first responders in the county are on the same wavelength, and they can respond to calls and communicate with each other. Number 4 on the list is the Dr. Mays Historic Site. That project was given $646,592. All that has been collected. About $25,000 has been spent on architectural drawings and renderings. The architectural firm is working on construction drawings now, and they are expecting to put that project out for bid at the end of the year, November, December. Project item number 5 on the project list is the fire master plan. This is a $14 million project. We're in phase 1. $3.2 million has been collected to date, and another $700,000 will be collected next month. About $2.8 million of that money from phase 1 is going to go to the fire truck payment, and the remaining $500,000 will go to volunteer fire stations in Bradley 96. We have received 2 of the ladder trucks. One is in Ware Shoals, and the other one is in the Cornacre Fire Station. And the 5 engines have been delivered. One was delivered this morning, but they are located in the Northwest Volunteer Fire Department, the Highway 34 Station, Cornacre Station. One's in Lower Lake, and one's at the Northwest Station 2 on Highway 72. The volunteer fire stations that we're building, you know about the Bradley site on Highway 221. We have signed a contract with one group to build a 2-bay volunteer fire station. The diesel tank has been removed. There was luckily no contamination found in the ground, so that was good news. The building has been ordered and is expected to be here in November. We have found the site south of 96 on Carter Road. That parcel of land has been donated by a generous family down there. It is still in our closing attorney's. He's working on the deed transfer, so I don't want to say too much about it and jinx that, but that's looking good. Project number 6 on the list, the Lake Greenwood Master Plan. $530,000 has been collected to date. That is an $810,000 project. Steering committee has been put together to determine the best use for those funds. They're looking at items such as a boat ramp or restroom and refuse facilities around Lake Greenwood. Item number 7 is the Ware Shoals sewer line replacement. We have collected $216,000 to date. $1.3 million will be collected, is expected to be collected in October for a total of $1.569 million. Dunn Engineering is working on that project. They have the plan submitted to DHEC in Columbia. They're in the permitting process. He's expected DHEC to be finished and issue a permit within the next month. And it's expected to be bid out by, he hopes, November. Up next, as far as the October payments, those will go towards Fire Master Plan Phase 2, $789,000 towards our fire truck payments. And the 96 water lines are coming up in April of 2020. That's in Pine Haven, Sloot, and Wingard Streets. We're also working on the North Greenwood Industrial Park. We've issued an RFP for a design build firm to build a 100,000 square foot spec building. Bids for that are due in on September 30th. And we are looking towards the Highway 246 widening project, which is expected to come about in July 2025. We recently applied for state transportation infrastructure funding. That was last week.
Ramp it up a little bit, can't hear you.
Well, that's it. That's all I have. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Any questions by council on Josh's part? Then we're gonna turn it over to the county manager at this time. Thank you, Josh.
Good job.
Thank you.
Chairman, if I may, before the county manager starts, probably more importantly, is anybody in this room that has any questions about what they just heard in that segment?
I had not planned on opening it up for a public discussion. This is a presentation before council, Mr. Lang.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of council. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Just want to start by thanking council for the opportunity to come and talk to you about the capital project sales tax. Since August 28th, there have been many statements made about the capital project sales tax. Some of them accurate, many
Go ahead
of
and
them.
talk louder. You got people behind you.
Y'all hear me?
Or take that microphone out.
We hear you. How much you like?
Can you hear me?
I don't have my hearing aids in, so I can't hear you, and I know I can't hear you. Take it out and
All
talk.
right, let's do it like this then.
That's good.
Everybody good there? Okay. I must admit some of this information had to be researched, and every blank will not be filled simply due to the passage of time and people no longer being in the same positions and people's memory not being exact. Nevertheless, I believe that once it's done, there'll be a much clearer picture of how we got from the beginning of the capital project sales tax to the comments of April 28th. One of the most important, if not the most important takeaways from this presentation should be that the capital project sales tax is based upon projections, both in its inception and in future events. I was speaking to a group the other day, and this topic came up, and I told them it was kind of like Sesame Street when I was a kid. When I was a kid, Sesame Street always had the word of the day. The word of the day for this is projections. Okay, everything that's going to come before, everything that's going to come in the future, projections is the word that you need to keep in mind. No one can tell you what will happen in the next 6 years, so when someone tries to say the capital sales tax will be a specific amount short, the best case they're giving you an educated opinion. The worst case is that they're really speculating. Before we delve into the 2016 capital project sales tax and where it will end, we need to go back briefly back to the very beginning of the capital project sales tax. So these two dates are critical, September 10th, 2015 and September 30th, 2015. In August of 2015, the county requested an estimate or a projection of the revenue that we anticipated for the 2016 capital project sales tax from the Southcon Revenue and Fiscal Affairs Office. One of the places our friends at the Index Journal has gone astray is the fact that they had reported on the letter from September 10th, 2015. September 10th, 2015 letter reported that the anticipated revenue for the 2016 capital project sales tax will be $5.8 million in year one. However, 5 years earlier than that, 5 years earlier, the capital project sales tax in Greenwood County generated $8.4 million, 44% more than their first letter did in its final year. So Greenwood County questioned the estimate. We still haven't found a conclusive answer as to the disparity between the 2012 actual and the 2015 projection. On September 30th, Frank Rainwater, Executive Director of the Revenue and Fiscal Affairs Office, sent Greenwood County a projection for the 2016 capital project sales tax year one of $9,535,708. So once we get the baseline established of the 9.5 million, this is going to be replicated throughout the capital project sales tax. You multiply it times 8. The basic math is 9.5 times 8 is 76 million. That's where you start at. This is the non-inflation, non-growth number. The commission, the Capital Project Sales Tax Commission, ranked the projects pre any kind of growth number because you can't apply the growth first. You have to put them in order because if a project is in year one versus year 8, it's going to have a drastically different price. So you have to organize first and then add any kind of growth or inflation to it. So that gets you to these two numbers, 76 million, which is the base number we just covered, and 87.9 million, which is what went to the referendum. Paul Bagnoli's in the back, and Paul did a great job on the financial modeling. He used industry standards, process. However, I can't tell you how he did it. I can't explain it to you in easy, understandable terms. That's why Paul is here. He's in the back. Anybody would like to talk to him about his model and how he did it, he'll be glad to talk to you. But what I do want to do is give you a simple illustration of how this would work. Okay? This next slide is making me very nervous, and I'll tell you why. I am confident that this next slide is going to be misquoted. It is going to be used in a way that is out of context, so I'm pre-alerting y'all to that. These are not the numbers that Paul used. This is an illustration of how you get from the non-inflation, non-growth number to the inflation growth numbers. Okay. So when it's misquoted in the future, I said this in advance. So here's an illustration. You start with the 76 million at the top. Referendum amount is 87.9. The difference is 11.9. Divide that by the original number of 76 million, which means there's 15.7% of growth. Divide that by 8, 1.96 per year. So using this simple formula, again, not the exact numbers that Paul used, but an illustration of it, it's about 2% growth per year. Okay, everybody follow that? So now we've established the numbers, let's discuss the two issues that have been the crux of the discussions, projections and projects. As I said before, projections is going to be the cornerstone of this discussion. The number $20 million has been thrown around in the media recently. Is it possible that the 2016 capital project sales tax will be $20 million short in 2025? The short answer is yes. However, it's also possible we may win the South Carolina Powerball at $1 to $292 million. And it's also possible that FERC may approve our fee flow this year, but it's not likely. For this event to occur, you have to have catastrophic economic events to occur, none of which the county knows of or anticipates. I'm not exactly sure how the number $20 million number arrived, but here's my best guess of how individuals got to that number. You take the first year number, which is the 8.3
The person that has a bicycle by the trash cans in the small parking lot, please go to the first floor circulation desk. Thank you.
You take the 8.4 million, which is the first year's projections, assume that they will be replicated exactly for the 7 years that come later. You get to 67 million. You subtract that from the 87.9 in the referendum, that gets you to 20 million. So if you wanted to believe that we would be $20 million short, this is the math that gets you there. However, to make this math work, you have to believe certain assumptions that are either clearly illogical and or demonstrably not accurate. For example, you have to assume that there is 0% inflation or growth for 7 years after year one. Problem with that assumption is we have the year two numbers. The year two numbers grew by 7.4%, or 624,000. This fact alone breaks the myth and the assumption that this very improbable $20 million number is anywhere remotely close to reality. Here are the actual numbers of what's been received. You'll see in the right-hand column, every year, every quarter, compared year two to year one, there's growth. There's 9.7 in the first one, 5 in the next one, 8 in the next one, 6.6 in the next one. That's how you get to 7.4% growth. These numbers do not include 45,000 in year one, 233,000 in year two, for 43,000 more thus far this fiscal year in interest that's been earned on the money. Clearly, the actual receipts are growing each quarter when compared to the previous year. So, if the $20 million figure is not accurate, what is the likely ending place for the 2016 capital project sales tax? These are 3 examples of where things could end up. And each of these take into account year one and year two, which are actual events, and then make a projection on events that could occur. So the one in the far left is what I explained earlier. 0% growth, nothing changes after year two. We get to Catherine Hall, which is project 18 of 27. The middle one is a 3% increase. Realize again, we had 7.4 this year. So let's cut it less than half and say we get to replicate that going forward. You get to the federal building on the list, which is project 23 of 27. Let's assume, almost best case, we get to replicate 7.4 every year, like we did between year 1 and 2. You completely fund all projects. I realize this has been extraordinarily numbers heavy, but when the numbers are in question, it's the only way it can be addressed. So we get to this. These are a lot of numbers. Where does this leave us? I'll conclude with it leaves us right where we started at. And I'll leave you with this slide. This is the quote that started the events of the last 3 weeks. And I'll read it to you. I hate to be a bearer of bad news, but the revenue actuals are not meeting projections. The money seems to be increasing somewhat. There's been some changes, not that significant, but whether some of those projects are going to be funded, we'll just see what happens a number of years from now. I think for years to come, you'll be pleased with how that money's been spent and the positive impact it's had on the community. Chairman Steve Brown, August 28th, State of the City County Address. While some may not like the statement or even the venue in which it was spoken in, I believe then and I believe now that this is an accurate and responsible statement which summarizes the current situation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of council.
Council members, do you have any questions? Do you have any comments that you would like to make?
Well, I'd like to thank Mr. Chappell for a thorough explanation, clarifying a lot of confusion that is existing in the community. And with anyone who can read and hear logic, this makes perfectly good sense. And it's a shame that we've had to deal with this turmoil, but I appreciate you addressing it in such a professional and dignified manner, and I hope it'll be reported as such. Thank you, sir.
Any other comment?
Mr. Chairman, can I just say one little?
Yes.
I'd like to thank Charlie Barano and Paul Bagnoli for the work they've done in the last few weeks, helping us recreate and pull all this stuff together that happened 4 and 5 years ago. So Paul is here, Charlie's not, but I'd like council to recognize Paul and Charlie for the work they've done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman,
Yes,
I would like to take this time also to thank Josh Kent
yes.
for all the work that he's done. What he and, Toby has done, it has made me understand even more so about the issue. And we appreciate that.
Since I was the one that kind of let the cat out of the bag, I guess I need to say something before you folks tonight. First of all, there was no ill intent on my part. I was being as transparent as I only know how to be. On June the 19th, the county manager, I was clearing some emails from my personal computer this week, and the county manager sent us all an email and said that he had some concerns about the collection rate. When I was asked a question at the state of the county, I responded in a truthful and an honest manner. All I intended to do. And I said that there is some concerns and some projects may not be funded. If I had sat on that information for a 2 or 3 year period and the collections had not responded in a positive manner, then I think I would have been wrong. I think we are moving in a positive manner. I think we're going to see some improvements in the collection rate, and I think a majority of the projects will be funded. And if we, the two things that I think we should have done that we did not do, and we're correcting it, one is to do exactly what you saw tonight. Been pointed out very plainly to us that we should have had periodic updates as both Josh Skinner and the county manager has done tonight. We ask your forgiveness on that faux pas, and we will correct it in the future. The second thing is we didn't put an accounting on our webpage, and we're going to correct that. So those two things, we take full credit for not doing those things, but we're going to make those corrections and we will move forward. I did not open it up for any of you to ask questions, but I will tell you this, any of us will be available after the end of this meeting tonight. You have our phone numbers, you can call us, you know what we look like because our pictures were in the paper. So call us and if you need some additional information, then we'll be glad to provide it for you. There are no funds missing. Every project that is supposed to be funded to this date is funded at 100% level. And we're just hoping that the money will continue to rise and we'll be able to fund, if not all, the majority of those projects. So we thank you with your patience. I wish we were perfect, but we're not. But we're trying to do the best we can. And thank you for being here tonight and listening to this update. I'm going to move on to our agenda. There is no one that has requested to make public comments tonight, so we will have no public comment section. We're going to have 2 public hearings, and I ask council that you give me a motion and a second that we conduct these 2 public hearings.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Motion by Mr. Lane, a second by Ms. Giles, all in favor? I guess I got it right.
Mr. Temple.
It's all good.
Templeton, I'm sorry.
No worries.
They sound a little bit like.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, you say so.
The first public hearing is ordinance number 2019-15, which authorizes Greenwood Metropolitan District to issue not exceeding $10 million of general obligation bonds, the proceeds of which shall be used to finance the cost of improvements to the sewer system of the district and to provide funds to refund certain outstanding obligations of the district. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Jeff, come forward. For the record, your name and title.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman and council, thank you for this opportunity. I'm Jeff Chapman, the
You
general.
know they can't hear you in the back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for this opportunity to speak before the council. My name is Jeff Chapman. I'm the general manager of Greenwood Metropolitan District. These bonds are being seek so that we may make improvements to our wastewater treatment facilities and trunk lines so that we may ensure the growth, the continued growth, economic and residential for Greenwood County. And I'm here to answer any questions that may be posed.
Does council have any questions of Mr. Chapman? Thank you, Jared. Oh, just a minute.
Mr. Chairman, does the commission have any plan to extend sewer, beyond the area or to other areas of the county?
As the
Like in the South Greenwood County or other areas?
Yes, sir. Without putting that on our existing ratepayers, the extension policy is that developers would come in and that they would pay for the extensions. What we're doing here with these GO bonds, they're kind of tied to facilities improvements that affect the entire district, which would be the treatment plants and then the collection, the main arteries coming into those plants. So the industries like Teijin and Viva, Ascend, those large industries, they have to have the capability of getting the flow into the plants. So these bonds right now are not moving out anywhere into the county.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition to this ordinance? Anyone here who would like to speak in opposition? If not, I will close that portion of the public hearing, and I will ask council, what is your pleasure? This is third and final reading.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Ms. Childs, second by Mr. Moats. Any discussion, comments, questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor? And that ordinance passes on third reading. The next public hearing is ordinance 2019-16, which amends the Greenwood County zoning ordinance so that if amended, 112 properties totaling 600 acres located along, and I'm not going to read all of these roads and streets, but it is Creekside subdivision, which changes the zoning classification from RDD, Rural Development District, and AG1 agricultural to R1 single family residential and AG2 agricultural. This is, let me ask, is anyone here who would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this ordinance? It's my understanding from the explanation that we are rezoning the residential properties within this area to R1 single family from RDD, and the AG1 to AG2, Phil, correct me, and that AG2 is part of the airport improvement district. So the county has some property in this rezoning. It will become AG2, and the Creekside subdivision will become R1 single family. Council, what is your pleasure?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Allison.
Second.
Second by Ms. Spencer. Questions, comments? Ready to vote, all in favor? And that is on second reading. Our next item of business is third reading of an ordinance 2019-14, which amends the Greenwood County zoning ordinance so that one parcel of land owned by CJJS Holdings, LLC, located at 208 Bypass 225 South, changes the zoning classification from C2 General Commercial to R1 Single Family Residential. This is the property that is adjacent to the Abney Memorial Baptist Church, which is near Emerald High School. It used to be an insurance office. It's being rezoned back to R1 Single Family Residential. What is your pleasure, council?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Moats and a second by Ms. Childs. Questions or comments? Ready to vote, all in favor? And that is third and final reading. Our second reading tonight is ordinance 2019-18, which authorizes the execution and delivery of one or more fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and special source revenue credit agreements by and between Greenwood County and Pine Gate Renewables, LLC, and other affiliated entities to provide for payment of a fee in lieu of taxes with respect to certain projects, authorizing the inclusion of certain project sites in a multi-county business park authorizing special source revenue credits and other related matters. Before we take a motion, Madam Attorney, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, sir. I'll discuss the documents you have or the drafts from first reading, the changes that we talked about. I'll discuss with the attorney and bring the final version back for third reading.
And this is a solo
Yes, sir.
project. You've heard the county attorney. Do I have a motion?
Chairman, before the motion, because those projects have the potential to create revenue for Duke Energy, I will abstain from voting.
Why don't we just get you to declare a conflict of interest? That would probably be proper. So Mr. Lane, and he can sign that, is declaring a conflict of interest because it may involve his employer. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Templeton,
Second.
second by Ms. Childs. Any further questions? There's 6 of us voting, all in favor. And that passes, and Mr. Lane, you'll need to complete that
Thank you, Chairman.
conflict. New business, consideration of appointing Debbie Wallen to the Upper Savannah Workforce Development Board.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Allison,
Second.
second by Mr. Templeton. Mrs. Wallen is an employee of Lonza, and she will be taking the place of Dee Dee Setzler on this Upper Savannah Workforce Development Board. All in favor? And she is appointed. Consideration of an application for the 2019 Burn Justice Assistance Grant. Mr. Manager, give us a brief explanation. A lot of these folks didn't hear it in our committee meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of council. The JAG, as it's commonly referred to, grant, is something that we've had multiple times, mostly through the solicitor's office. But this year, the sheriff's department, specifically Major Cody Bishop, has applied for it. This is not the actual application. The application's been completed. The city's actually made the application. What you're being asked to consider is an MOU, which deals with how the funding will work. And as a practical matter, the way it will work is the city has $35,000 from the JAG grant, which they will hold. The county will spend our money and then draw down the $14,000 to pay for the K-9.
You've heard the explanation. Are you ready to vote? Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved, Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Lane,
Second.
second by Ms. Spencer. Questions, comments? All in favor? And that is approved. We have Resolution 2019, adopting villages necessary to provide tax revenues for the operating and capital budgets of the government of Greenwood County and for educational purposes in Greenwood County for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2019. Ashley Davis, our county auditor, spoke to us in our committee meeting, and I believe you said, except for the city and the special tax districts, most of the millages, all of the millages other than those 2 are remaining the same as they were last year. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Do you have anything else you would like to add?
No, sir.
Do you have any questions of our auditor? This means that tax notices are coming soon, doesn't it? Okay, that's what I thought. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Allison and a second by Ms. Childs. All in favor? And that resolution is approved. We have Resolution 2019-20, making a finding pursuant to Section 611-860 of the Code of Laws of South Carolina, 1976, that Greenwood Metropolitan District should be authorized to issue not exceeding $10 million of general obligation bonds of Greenwood Metropolitan District, authorizing the publication of notice to the county council's actions. And the county attorney, the way I heard her, this is more of a formality that's required for them. We've already passed the ordinance. This sets up a notification process.
That's correct. It confirms your passing of the ordinance and orders that public notice be published that the ordinance is passed, and it triggers an appeal period for anyone in the public who is so inclined for the statute.
Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
So, motion by Mr. Allison and a second by Mr. Moats. Ready to vote, all in favor? And that stands approved. We have Resolution 2019-21, which accepts a federal grant and makes a transfer of funds from the 315 Airport Improvement Fund to the Airport Grant Fund for the rehabilitation of taxiways A and B. If you were not in our committee meeting, I'm gonna take a moment, and Rob, if you can come and let these folks know what you told us. We're gonna get about $2.4 million, and all the county's gonna have to put it in is about $120,000. These runways are gonna be concreted and overlaid. It's a good project. It's great for Greenwood County, but I'd like for him to tell you about it again.
Thank you, Chairman. Typically, the annual allotment for Greenwood County Airport from the FAA is about $150,000 in grants. This year we had a large project planned to overlay the taxiways A and B, over 5,000 foot of taxiways with an asphalt overlay. When we bid the project out, we did not get an asphalt bid, but we did get a bid for concrete work. The concrete work came in for a total project cost of about $2.4 million, which was about 50% more than what we had anticipated at that time. We took a flyer and applied to the FAA for the full amount of the grant. Probably had a very low percentage chance of getting that amount, being that it was so high. But we got notice via email that we will be have a grant offer from the FAA for the full amount of the project. Well, I say 90% of the full amount of the project. We expected to have that grant offer before today's meeting. At this time, because it had to go through some extra steps up in Washington, D.C. because of the size of the grant. We now expect it next Monday. We will have to turn around and accept that grant and commit to the match, the 5% match on it by next Wednesday. So we're bringing it before council tonight. Essentially, the federal grant offer is for $2.1 million, which is 90% of the project. The county will be responsible to match $119,000 for a 5% match. And then we'll be applying to the state Aeronautics Commission for the remaining 5% of the grant, another $120,000. We do expect to receive a favorable announcement on that state grant as well. This is a huge project for the airport. It is a kind of a long shot we took. It paid off. There's a lot of people who spent a lot of time on the paperwork that's involved in these grants. Our assistant engineer, Rhett Templeton, our grants coordinator, now our deputy treasurer, Julie Latham, myself, and then, of course, my predecessor, Rossi Corwin, who started this process years ago before I was even at Greenwood County, and then our consultant as well, Michael Baker, who does a good bit of the bidding and the paperwork as well. So a lot of people, a lot of effort, and we got a lot of money, and it'll go a long ways out of the airport. We're asking for favorable approval of the resolution to approve the transfer of funds from the Airport Improvement Fund, which we have approximately over $400,000 in, and then as well as giving the county manager authority to sign all documents related to the grant so we can get it back, turned around back to the FAA as quickly as possible.
Council, you have heard, don't go anywhere because you're next. You have heard the explanation of the county engineer. Do you have any comments or questions? If not, do I have a motion and a second?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Moats,
Second.
second by Mr. Lane. You ready to vote? All in favor? And that resolution is approved. The next we have is an update on the Buzzer Drew's fuse plug project. County engineer.
I've been only dealing with the fuse plug project for a little over a year now. Of course, the council originally, or the county, the taxpayers funded this project starting way back in 2007. And there's a very thick file in my office on this project. Just to bring everybody up to date, this is about a $20 million project to replace the emergency fuse plug. It's a flood control device, essentially, when activated, would quickly drain floodwaters. We have been toiling away to try to get to a design point in this project. Last December, we convened a board of consultants, had a 2-day meeting, FERC county personnel, our consultant Kleinschmidt Associates, all in attendance. We came to essentially a consensus as to a particular design. And after the BOC, the Board of Consultants, formalized their report on that design, we submitted it to FERC. We got word last week from FERC that, and the one line I'll take from this letter, those of you who have signed up for the federal notification system have already seen this, but one sentence in here that absolutely thrills me is they say, essentially, very simply, we concur with this recommendation. That gives us permission to go to 60% design on the particular design that we have chosen. It is a huge step for this project. Kleinschmidt & Associates has already started moving forward to get to that 60% design. We have to submit a plan and schedule back to FERC in the next month as to when we'll hold our next BOC meeting and when we'll have that 60% design done. Of course, with this particular design, there are some things that the Board of Consultants pointed out, some additional hydraulic modeling we'll have to do. I'll be coming back to council probably at the next meeting to transfer some additional funds from the capital project sales tax to the for this additional work. We don't expect it to be a lot in terms of the overall project, but it is, anytime you're talking about the type of money involved in this project, it's a lot of money to me. So I will be coming back from a little bit additional money to do a little bit more investigation, but this is, we are ecstatic news. This letter is very simple and short. It's exactly the type of letter you want to get from FERC on a project like that, essentially giving us the go-ahead for where we wanted to go. So huge step in the process. A lot of people worked on this as well. Just thrilled to be at this point, and great news for this particular project. I'll take any questions if you have them.
Well, let me say this, there's a lot of people that's sitting up here with me tonight that has worked on this project a lot longer than I have. I am now in my 7th year on council, and it's been sort of an ongoing project for 7 years, but some of them go all the way back to 2007 or 8. And I am thrilled to hear this. I am thrilled that there is movement. This is not completion. But as we have said many times, we're looking for movement. We're looking for progress to the end. And it's great. It's great. And I know all of you that work so hard are thrilled to get this movement from FERC. And it looks like we're on a path. I don't know how fast or slow it will be. But we're on a path to get some progress made on getting the fuse plug and answering what our public wants. And they said, when are you going to get this project completed? So we're saying tonight, we've got permission to move to the next phase. That's good news. Council, you have anything you'd like to add?
The only comment, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm excited about it. I had a chance to go out there and visit just to see the process, things that's going on out there. And just to know that it has been granted is a blessing.
Yeah. Mr. Templeton?
Just that this has been a long time coming, and I'm super excited, like you, Rob, that we've gotten that permission. And I just want to clarify one thing is that, you said the money would come from the capital project sales tax. I want to make sure the folks in the audience know that that was from the first capital project sales tax, not the one we talked about tonight before it gets, just want to make sure we're clear.
We'll also be updating the website with the current status and timeline for the last few months of where we are with the project.
But that is super news. Thank you.
It's great news. Great news. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have consideration of appointment of members to the Joint Board of Zoning Appeals. Mr. Landler, would you give us those names to the Board of Zoning Appeals? And did we have also to vote on appointments to the Planning Commission?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of council. Tonight you have one appointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals. The individual is Tina Escalana. She has been on the Board of Zoning Appeals for 2 years. She had an unexpired term that she was appointed last year to, and she is willing to serve again.
All right, you'll just stay right there. Council, what is your pleasure on this recommendation?
Move to approve, Chairman.
Mr. Lane made the motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. Templeton. Any comments, questions? All in favor? And that person is reappointed. Now for the Planning Commission.
Yes, sir. You have 3 appointments up for consideration before the Planning Commission. The first is William Booker, who represents District 1, and all of these appointments are district specific. He has been in that seat for 30 years. Felicia Conard Hull represents District 3, and she has been a member since, well, I guess it doesn't say here. Sorry for that. For 3 years for that term. And then Mr. Curtis Coffey is from District 7, and he's been on the Planning Commission for 3 terms, and he is willing to serve as well.
You've heard the 3 persons recommended. What is your pleasure?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Templeton,
Second.
second by Ms. Spencer. All in favor? And those persons are appointed to the Planning Commission. Any other business that I've omitted? Then I would ask Mr. Allison for his district report.
No report from District 2.
Ms. Spencer?
I'm happy to see that the roads, I can drive on the road over off of Coachbury where they redid the pipes. Over there is dusty, dirtying up my car. Now I can ride on some pavement. But all is well.
Thank you. Ms. Moats?
Everything's well in District 4, sir.
Mr. Templeton?
All's well in District 6, Mr. Chairman. I would like to give you a quick update from the committee that you have charged me in leading up with Recreation.
Absolutely.
On Tuesday the 10th, Brad Cole, Josh Skinner, Lindsey Burns, Chuck Moats, Toby Chappell, and myself, we had a couple of members who could not be present that day, made our first round of what will be mini visits to some other locations. We visited City of Anderson. We visited the Anderson Civic Center. When I say that, not the Anderson Civic Center building, but the Anderson Civic Center where the parks and trails and fields are. We visited the J.B. Red Owens Complex in Easley, Rock Springs Baptist Church in Easley, Conistea Park in Greenville, and then the City of Malden. I've compiled that information. I have sent it to the members of the committee to make sure that it's accurate, and then I will disseminate that to all of you guys. We will have we've got, like I said, this is the very beginning of this process. We got a number of more places to go and see. But we have started, and we plan to make another visit in October, a date yet to be determined. And I will keep you guys updated. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Lane?
Thank you, Chairman. Earlier, after 9/11, I had the privilege of going around the city and into my district with representatives from the Chamber of Commerce and expressing our thanks to our public servants for what they do for us every day. I tweeted the day after that I had waited to tweet until the day after because I said we should thank police, fire, and EMS people every day, not just during a time of the year that we are sometimes, I guess, that their efforts are highlighted in our minds. I also want to, all's well in District 7, I think, unless something's changed this afternoon. I also want to apologize to the chair for my suggestion that we should deviate from protocol earlier. I know what the rules are. However, having had the many conversations that I've had over the past several weeks, having thought through the issues that we've been dealing with in regard to the capital sales tax initiative, and having taken some personal offense to the way that this has been portrayed. As you all know, I was the economic development chairman for the capital sales tax campaign for that unit. I was the advocacy chairman for the Chamber of Commerce who took on the marketing effort. And if my count is right, I think of around 80 presentations given across Greenwood County. I gave about 30 of them. So I feel pretty well informed. So my comments, Chairman, were simply to highlight that I know how transparent this council has worked to be. I know that we are working in the best interest of Greenwood County as we always have. I'm proud of that work. We aren't perfect. We sometimes make mistakes, as the chairman articulated earlier. There are a couple of things we wish we had done differently, but I also think that it's easy to armchair quarterback in the aftermath. But here's what I absolutely know. We're honest, we function with integrity, and we work for the best interest of people in Greenwood County. So I apologize to the chair, but that was what was driving my comments.
Well, I hated to tell you no.
Well, you did the right thing.
At the next meeting, when somebody wanted to get up and speak when it wasn't proper time, then I would have had to start letting everybody in. That's why I had to be the bearer of bad news. And it just wasn't a public hearing. It'd be nice if you could let questions come and go, but it would turn into a chaotic situation. So when we have public hearings, we're open to it, but when it's a legislative matter, then we take these reports. And you always know you can call us. You can always stop us after this meeting and we will entertain your questions. Don't forget that the Hodges Festival is this weekend. And I've been informed that 2 meetings ago, when I invited the young guy that played the bagpipes, he's gonna lead the parade at the Hodges Festival on Saturday morning. So if you wanna hear the bagpipe man again, go up there at 9 o'clock and you can hear the bagpipes and enjoy all of the festivities of the Hodges, town of Hodges.
I'm in trouble now that you had to point that out, and I forgot about it. But thank you.
Mr. Manager,
Nothing to report, Mr. Chairman.
Madam Attorney,
No report, Mr. Chairman.
Madam Clerk.
No report.
This council had recessed its executive session because we were not able to complete all matters. So we will return to executive session, but we will come out there and greet you before we go back there. Our regular meeting